Hello, everyone. Hello. I have not said any words. Oh, you've got slightly high-pitched, Gareth, today. I haven't said any words for so long that my voice has gone all squeaky. My vocal cords have got all sticky. Hey, it's episode 2. It's exactly why everyone wanted to hear. It's episode 225. 225, which felt like a pertinent episode, given that there are very much less than we're now counting down the days until the book publication. It felt like a good episode to just have a bit of a Q&A chat about all sorts, not least the book, How the Railways Will Fix the Future. Let's talk about it. Was sticky the first word? Everyone's wondering what the first word was. No, it always comes through. Sometimes people pick it up at different places, Gareth. Other Gareth in the chat, that is. Gossip Bootsma, hello. First time here live from the start. An absolute pleasure to have you along. So, what is there to say? Well, yeah, because, of course, if I was clicked in the right thing, I'd be able to go, the book, the draft went, or not the draft, the final version of the book went in a few weeks ago. It's as we speak, it is being, actually more than a few weeks ago, a month or so ago now. As we speak, it is being printed somewhere. And I'm very excited to say that it will be published on the 12th of November. So them days, they be a ticking. So it feels like a good time to it feels like a very good time to chat about it. But also there's some other news stuff to pick up. So we'll do a bit of news picking up, but also Q&A chat, big face, all that good stuff. Just in time for Christmas. Yeah, exactly. Everyone, welcome to tonight's Rail Natter. And as the Institute 25 fades away and you're getting critical beeps left, right and centre as I realise the Wackham's not plugged in. Yeah, that's right, the Intercity 225 on episode 225. It was going to come along, wasn't it? We're going to be talking about the book. But first, we have to do a bit of news. Some news. So, oh, good grief. What news? Where do we start? Let's start from the start with the most recent thing that's going on, which is the various, also shout out to all of the anti-fascist demonstrators who are currently outside kind of protecting their communities from a bunch of white supremacist, racist nasties. Yeah, the railway connection to this, other than just general solidarity of bad things happening across the country right now, the connection to the railways is the RMT. I've received the email myself as an RMT member. The RMT has urged vigorously urged solidarity. Mick Lynch has urged RMT branches to contact local mosques, refugee centres and solidarity groups to offer the union solidarity and support. Lynch has called for a movement-wide response that we do not allow such vile shows of racism to divide working class unity. Yeah, it's an interesting one. It's not an interesting one. It's horrific what's going on. Back when I was a student, I'm still an atheist, but I was kind of a more vigorous atheist in my later student years, and at the time probably already at the time, naive young me, but I was kind of like, I felt uncomfortable with the use of the word Islamophobia because for some of the reasons that it is a problem now, as in the problems associated with what Islamophobia now represents. But at the time I was like, well, it groups a whole load of people into a cluster based on a factor that is kind of not pertinent to the thing that they're getting picked on. That was my beliefs at the time. What's happened, however, and also it's like, well, criticising religion, all the usual kind of rubbish talking points that have been hijacked now by the right and far right. Semantic shifts are a good thing to look up, because the semantic shift of Islamophobia is very much that word represents attacks on black and brown people who others, as it were, in inverted commas, and those attacks are not because of they haven't come out of nowhere. The stochastic violence and terrorism that we're seeing on the streets at the moment in the UK has been egged on by leading politicians and leading media people, whether it's in the newspapers or whether it's on news or whatever it happens to be. And that's not just your GB Newses. That's mainstream newspapers. It's not the Expresses and the Mails. Plenty of dog-worthy stuff in the Guardian Plenty of dog-whistly stuff in The Independent, plenty in the BBC, and of course, not just from Tory MPs, but from Labour MPs as well, inciting this stuff. So when people say, oh, if we ban Twitter, or if we block social media, or regulate social media more heavily, this will go away, those people are either kind of delusional or are willfully trying to kind of misdirect people's anger away from the fact that it's just mainstream politicians who've been egging this stuff on. There's a point at which when you hanker a really key message here is that the far right can never pander to the right and the far right. You will never give them what they want. They will always want more. This is a lesson that the Conservative Party have just learned electorally and suffered miserably for it. And it's a lesson that Labour are apparently refusing to learn. There have been a few more robust statements actually standing up for Muslims, standing up for people of colour who are currently being targeted across the country, but pretty, relatively speaking, milquetoast. And also, this is meanwhile, Labour's immigration policy at the moment is as hostile as the Conservative Party's ever was. So, pretty grim situation, really. So I think it's really important to... people are saying a fair quantity of foreign interference through social media. Yeah, but I'm sorry, it's trivial compared to the impact of it's trivial compared to the impact of leading politicians egging this stuff on and using it, stoking this stuff up for their own political gain. You've seen the political response from both parties to the protests, the solidarity protests for Palestine, and the response from both parties against those. Don't be led astray by the idea that social media is the main problem here. It really is not. It really is not. Anyway, there. Right, next story. Let's escape that, which has got ongoing right now. Cross country mess. I've been moaning about cross country. Cross country by rights should be the kind of the kind of the gold standard in long distance kind of services, and I'm definitely going to do an episode on cross country. I was going to do it as one of the 22X episodes, but time and my inability to travel about, because I want to do it on the Aberdeen Penzance train, because I think it'd be fun to do the episode on that train, talking about what cross country could be. It's a fun episode coming up that we need to do, but here we see that between nowish and November, basically between now and publication date, actually, thank you Cross Country for your plug inadvertently, they're reducing their service again because of a backlog of driver training. So Newcastle Reading via Doncaster services will be cut again, with limited service north of Edinburgh. Release units will be used to strengthen the trains. If anyone's wondering why those bits are the bits that get chopped, yes, from a diagramming perspective, they're they're fiddly. But the reason the Doncaster bit gets cut is because all the revenue is for the Leeds trains, even though the Doncaster route is much more useful for those travelling longer distances. All the revenue comes from the Leeds route because everyone travels into the Leeds is where the money is. Ditto, north of ditto for the north of Edinburgh. There's no revenue there, so they're chopping the bits that are. Well, there's not going to be there won't be a rail natter episode south of going Aberdeen Penzance anytime soon. Well, until mid-November at the earliest. So yeah, this is a real problem because these services are actually the backbone of the country for a lot of people who travel, and the service is pants. It really is poor, really is poor. So, anyway, right. Michael is saying, not going all the way from Aberdeen to Penzance, are you? I absolutely will be at some point, for sure. There better be an Intercity 225 segment given the episode number. No, actually. Gareth, other Gareth saying Aberdeen Penzance is on the bucket list. Maybe we'll do it as a collective. Everyone, we all arrange to do it all at once. Maybe that's what we do. We all travel on the journey together. It's going to be an epic journey. We'll have our snacks. I'll do some filming. Maybe that's the way we do it. There'll be like a bit of a live episode, but everyone will be doing it live, but it won't be live, but it'll be in real time, so it won't even be live. Anyway, okay, plans are forming in my brain. Right, this was a while back, wasn't it? Barely 2 weeks after the general election, and Reeves was announcing that delays and cancellations of infrastructure projects, which includes reopening your railways, which I have mixed feelings about as a scheme, but it did at least exist as a process by which railways could pretend they were going to be built, new railways being built. That was the only mechanism for doing so. and it's now gone, essentially. The estimated 20 billion fiscal hole, she said, we didn't understand this hole was here, except that that exact number had been predicted multiple times from all directions. Anyway. In particular, during the announcement of this, Benjamin Pine, thanks for picking this one up. Rachel Reeves cited falling rail demand post-pandemic as a new reality. So if anyone wonders why I keep talking about rail ridership and why for me it's so important, that's right. The Chancellor of the Exchequer, the person in charge of Treasury there, once again claiming that rail usage is not only is low, but falling. The idea that it is falling, by no measure is rail usage falling. This is just completely detached from reality. So as Benjamin says very rightly there, to meet climate targets and to reduce inequality, we need to increase demand for rail, and the claim itself is misleading. So this very much angered me to the point of frothiness when Reeves said this, just absolute dangerous gibberish. And the same playbook is being used in the cities as well. This sort of so in West Midlands, for example, this withdrawal from the kind of aspiration for a grand transport system, Richard Parker has come in and seemingly just withdrawn from it. Sort of distanced himself from it. It's like, no. Well, if one thing Street was doing right was asserting himself over there being a need for a broader aspirational vision of what the public transport network needed to look like. Just, very, very frustrating to see that withdrawal. Again, just being like, well, they're in a very now I've come into power, they're in a very difficult state. No. It doesn't matter what state they're in. It's the same with HS2. It doesn't matter what state it's in. The reality is we need the infrastructure. It doesn't matter if it's now costing twice as much. The need for the infrastructure remains. If it costs twice as much, that's a problem that you can deal with. But not having the infrastructure is a serious problem. Charles J. Lockett pointing out something uncomfortable. George Osborne writing a gushing op-ed lauding her as a spiritual heir and praising her use of exactly the same ideological approach as 2010 Tories, giving the game away. Absolutely, Charles. Yeah, it's very depressing. Right, let's say one good thing that the government have done right now, though, which is they are repealing the Strikes Act, which is good. So the minimum service level's nonsense, which this is a good bit of good news. So, I'll give them that. That is one good thing, good news. So it's good to see that. This has resulted, by the way, directly from ASLEF putting pressure onto LNER, which was where the strikes on LNER were where that was first going to be, the minimum service levels was first going to be threatened, and ASLEF basically got LNER's nuts in a vice, as it were, and they made it quite clear that it was just absolutely non-viable. That very much instigated the fact that Labour realised it was just untenable and it broke, and that was the end of that. They're repealing it, which is very good. Right, let's talk about sabotage briefly. By the way, conveniently, most of the news articles will tie into the book in some form or another. We'll get there. Anyway, so sabotage. First thing of sabotage was recently. It was on the day of the Olympics opening ceremony, which I enjoyed. It was good fun. I was tempted to. I don't know. Should I have been boycotting it because Israel is still in the Olympics? Possibly. I'm very angry that Israel are allowed in the Olympics when Russia is being barred, because it's just a very transparent bit of. It's pretty transparent what's going on. Let's just put it that way. So, sabotage by malice. Yes. And there are several points of sabotage, and the malice part of that is, I would suggest this is likely to have come via Russia. The sabotage in France, very, very likely. Russia are constantly doing bits of sabotage, lots of GPS blocking of things on borders, whether it's, aircraft, commercial aircraft, or whether it's weather balloons or whatever it happens to be. Just serious impacts on the border, on the Russian border, and and stuff within the EU. We've seen attacks on fibre optic cables undersea. Pipelines have been damaged as well. So the sabotage is coming from Russia. It's very likely. I look forward to finding out what the formal announcement is on who's caused it. But it's very likely this has come from Russia. They are kind of undertaking this sort of this form of surreptitious warfare. But you don't require a big bad boogeyman like Putin to do sabotage. This, by the way, impacted severely on mostly on long distance services across France. This sabotage. It was essentially the targeted attacking of lineside cabling, which wiped out signaling systems. The attacks on these cables, which wiped out long distance services and caused a lot of people to not be where they would like to be on the day of the opening ceremony, which is a real shame. But it doesn't take the big bad boogeyman, because instead you can just have all of your systems running Windows, and then allow Microsoft allow Microsoft to outsource fundamental elements of its software to ostensibly okay packages. By which I mean CrowdStrike, but allow that subcontracted organization to roll out an update without any form of testing that literally kills, like, a lot of people killed as a result, die as a result of the impact on hospitals as a result of this, but also banks, transport services. So, when I talk about the can it go bust rule, we should also be thinking about the can it break rule. Is it allowed to break? We've got an episode coming up on lifts around this theme, but it's absolutely true for operating systems. Unix-based systems, run those. Do not run Microsoft-based systems, because Microsoft can do what they like and will break your system. Yeah, exactly. Charles J. Lockett putting the words out better than I could. Who needs Russian cyber warriors when you have checks notes? Poor quality assurance protocols at tech megagiants. Quite. Kara is saying, I'd quote, "You're too big to fail, should be nationalised." But this probably happen under government too. It's very true. It's a complex picture here. Like, if government was just procuring Microsoft here, then it would be a problem. But the key thing here is... this is going to happen more and more as tech becomes more and more stupid. This is severe. So, like, we need to be vigilant to this, but also prepare ourselves for it. And probably, if you're a transport operator, do some risk assessments as to what systems you have that run Microsoft and get rid of those. If it's at all possible, get rid of those. Look for Unix-based systems that avoid these risk pathways. So many problems, so much pain. I do need to do the too big to fail should be nationalised. Merch. You're absolutely right, everyone. Right. So, incidentally, while we're at it, let's talk briefly about Policy Exchange. I talk quite a bit about Policy Exchange for various reasons. Policy Exchange are the think tank that has Gilligan in, that has a lot of other nasty vampiric maniacs in, who have pushed for things like cancellation races 2. They have been behind quite a lot of the anti-immigrant and hostile legislation, kind of racially charged hostile sort of legislation. And a good example is the legislation used to jail non-violent climate protesters was, by the previous government's own admission, written by the think tank Policy Exchange. Won't reveal its funders, but it's known to take money from oil companies. So if you just want an idea of what goes on, this is from Open Democracy. Thanks, Charlie Gardner, for pushing this one out. Open Democracy pointing out that, highlighting the connection between Policy Exchange and the climate protesters being able to get wiped out, but also the fact that that legislation was directly facilitated by the oil companies funding Policy Exchange. Really healthy situation. Really healthy situation. That's some EU news. The European Commission pushing out the fact they're updating their rules on the Trans-European Transport Network. They're going to promote more sustainable transport modes. The EU are hopeless on this stuff. Sustainable transport, the EU are just absolutely hopeless. And the delay, the fact that this is coming now rather than 20 or 30 years ago is pretty staggering. So if have a look at the old 10T network. There it is now with the UK omitted. Another thing that frustrates me is the large mess through the former Yugoslavia. I can understand why the rail network does that, but it'd be so worth it to get a coastal railway built up on the Adriatic coast. Anyway, EU very much playing catch up. on its decades of dreadful policy. What's that big grey splodge between Ireland and the Netherlands getting in the way? Asks Harry Harrison. Yeah, quite. So, meanwhile in Germany, yeah, that's true. Meanwhile in Germany, it's always worth doing a meanwhile in Germany. The meanwhile in Germany is that... Oh, no, don't do that. Meanwhile in Germany is that, they're actually not necessarily doing a bad thing, which is that they're closing a key rail corridor for months to tackle problems on the rail network. That's not actually a bad idea. Closing a rail network and focusing on a rail line, a corridor, and focusing on giving it a full dramatic upgrade is actually not a bad way to do things. I'm kind of an advocate of this approach where possible and where planned for well in advance. Very much possible when you have an integrated rail network, not when you have a fragmented mess like we have. But this is part of Euro 2024 was Deutsche Bahn was becoming the butt of jokes because of its unreliability. Germany is sort of an indication of why of what happens when a government comes in that has positive aspirations for transport. So not like the current government that we have, not like the former government, the former Conservative government, but a government that comes in with genuine aspirations for the future of the railways. But all of the, there has been barely any real investment in infrastructure for basically the entirety of the history of the CDU. The previous government under Merkel, they just did not bother investing much in railways, relatively speaking. So we need to switch Germany off for a year to fix it. Painting for that might not be a bad idea. Yeah. So this is a good example where Germany is really struggling, and it's a worthy thing to bear in mind when we think about the future that we will have and about decisions being made about transport now, and how those are going to look in decades to come. Talking of weird decision making and things that shouldn't be in the hands of things that should not really be in the hands of basically we're talking about Royal Mail's fleet renewal avoidance tactics, which is that they're saying, we can't we want to take everything by train, we want to move everything, all of our postal traffic by rail, but boo-hoo, it's so expensive, we can't, boo-hoo. It's like, no, actually what they're doing is basically the Class 325s are reaching their end of life and they can't be bothered doing either a fleet renewal or a fleet refurbishment or a fleet renewal. So they're just using all sorts of smokescreen stuff, discussing EC4T, electric charging for charging for traction and all this stuff. All these charges beyond the price many of our customers can afford to pay. This is just a mess. There's a series of overlapping messes here, and all of them are resulting in more traffic moving back onto the roads again, which is just fantastic. Hello, Katie Fenn. Hi, chat. The last thing I want to say is I haven't been able to find further validation of this event. This poster for a hustings has been doing the rounds. So this is a Conservative Party leadership hustings on the 17th of August, sponsored by First Group's open access operators, Lumo and Hull Trains. I'm not going to skewer them here in a Rail Natter until I've seen it validated and verified that they are actually sponsoring this. But I see no reason why this should be a fiction, why this is made up. There would be no benefit to anyone of making this up. So someone else can. I've been trying to fact check it. I can't find any link to this hustings. It might well be hidden on Facebook somewhere. So anyone else can find it, great. Feel free to do some sleuthing mid-episode. Yeah, this is quite something. I'm not going to dig into it now, but wowza is all I have to say on that now. Ooh. Anyway, time to go big face. Hello, everyone. Hi. It's time for me to pick up any comments that have been going through there. Daniel Smith was saying at least the signalling systems weren't affected. They either run on Motorola 6800 processors from the 80s or Windows XP. Yeah, thanks Daniel. Yeah, that's it. SNCB is running a Brussels Paris service now. Very good. There we go. Lots of good things. Oh, really? Michael C is saying, I've heard they've withdrawn their sponsorship now, but this is still very dodgy. Interesting. Michael C, where have you heard that? Interesting, because there aren't very many places to see that they were sponsoring it, and now it seems that they have withdrawn. This is strange. A hustings, by the way, Raphael Nicolaus, a hustings is just like where you have a chance to ask questions of someone or multiple people. Yeah, really old word for meeting the public. Thank you, Alexander Roderick. Very useful. FG, hello, first time watching live. Like the hoodie, thanks. I'm hoodied up. This is when I was the publicity manager 2011-2012 for the Edinburgh University Music Society. I sang and played percussion a bit. Right, enough of that. Let's talk about this thing. It's the book. It's here. Oh wait, wait a minute. Let's do this. I can do this. We're here. The book. Let's go big face again. I can be more prepared this time. Everyone, it's the book. There it is. There we go. That was so loud. I'm so sorry, everyone. Right, yes, here's the book. What I want to know about this book is why red, not orange. It's red because socialism red. No, red is it could have been orange, but I like the red. It's vibrant, vigorous. Yes, there is a book. I've written a book, How the Rails Will Fix the Future. You'll be glad to know that it is. It's the loudness made it funnier. Thank you, particularly for the Rail Nature only people. So this is already on pre-order. Yeah, we'll get to the pre-order chat. I'm gonna chuck all your questions at me. I'm gonna kind of loosely just talk about what the book is, what it's about. Although I'm sure you can pretty much guess it. What the book is, what it's about, and also you're going to get the exclusive look at the chapter structure. All Rail Natters. There will be exclusive stuff for Patreon people, by the way. So stay tuned for that. That'll be coming through for Patreons, but I'll tell you at the end what that's going to be. And in fact, I'll continue. In fact, I'm just going to say now there will be Patreon exclusive stuff. I'm not going to tell you what it is yet, although there is a plan for what that will look like. I'll probably publish some of that later in the closer to the publication date about those things. Yeah, there will be multiple Patreon exclusive bits and pieces. It's one of the things I'm super excited to announce, but I'll announce that later. But so in the Patreon chat, there'll be more to say in there. But here it is. This is it. The How the Railways Will Fix the Future. It's a book. It's paper. It'll be a paperback. It's released on the 12th of November. How the Rails Will Fix the Future: Rediscovering the Essential Brilliance of the Iron Road. What else is there to say? You can read it in a day, because I did when I had to read the whole thing. It's painted red for speed, says Trainwords. Remember to at me if you've got a thing that you want me to see. Red for evil trains, Painting 4 says. Signal colour, red as in iron. Now it's red. It's my little red book. You see, this is my little red book. So that's what this is about. No, this is a book about the future. It's about, there are plenty of railway books that talk about railway history, plenty of books that talk about what the future needs to look like. There are no books that talk about what the railways should look like in the future, how they will work in the future, what we need to get to the future where railways are delivering what they need to do, and also what, basically addressing the fact that in all the discussion by green folk, by futurists, the railways just barely feature. It just isn't featured at all. Yes. Tim, thank you for the sponsored comment, the super comment. Is that what that is? Super chat. Tim Ballum asks, will be ordering when available. You're doing signed copies. Yes, and how I'm going to do signed copies, I haven't worked out yet. I mean, other than the fact that when it's actually on sale on shelves, I will be going to various, whenever I find a bookshop, I'll be going and finding it on the shelf and signing it. I'll take a Sharpie with me and sign them. I will be ordering when available. How I exactly get signed copies to you, whether that's a case of I'll tell you where I'm in a place and you can come bring it to me and I'll absolutely sign it. Then however it ends up being, then we'll do it. Anyway, yes, it's on pre-order on Evil website. We'll talk about pre-order later. I'll do some more pre-order chat. Is it more optimistic than the news section we just had? Yes, but it taps into a lot of those things. So we talk about how the railways are a critical part, if not if not potential, because we talk about the Omni challenge, the fact that there are so many interlaced challenges in the future, and how in order to tackle all of those competing and interrelated challenges, actually sometimes you need one big tool that cuts through a lot of them. And actually I think that's the railways. I think that's railways. I think railways are that tool. And so this is what that book is about. It's about painting that picture. But it's also talking about how railways provide us with a lens through which to view other policy domains as well. So it's not just about railways, it's also about other policy domains and how thinking in a time and in a temporal and spatial in a manner that is appropriate to the policy rather than in electoral cycles helps us to solve those challenges. So it kind of bounces back, it relates across to other policy domains very much as well. So the point of the book is to talk about that, but it's structured. So let's talk about the structure, shall we? I'm excited to this one. So, but before I forget, this is the cover. This is what the cover looks like. This is the whole cover. You get to see the whole cover. So, wait a minute. No, it isn't. It isn't. No, it isn't, because there has been an update on it. Wait, I will open the correct one. Wait, I need to find it now. I'm going to go big face while I fix this. This is what happens when you have half a dozen PDFs and you open the wrong one. Let's go this way. It's interesting. Interesting. Okay. Oh, that's because for some reason the PDF was not. There we go. Let's do that, and then scan this thing again. There we go. This is you're getting in. Everyone loves a bit of in-episode editing. Everyone loves it. For some reason the PDF was not previewing, which is why I didn't open the preceding PDF. I opened the previous cover version, which is no good at all, is it? There we go. Image copied. Let's get this show back on the road, by which I mean copy paste the thing back in here. There we are, and we can get not that. That's this. There we go. Oh my goodness, small face. This is the cover, everyone. Oh dear. This is indeed the cover. I'm very excited to share with you. There we are. It's just some sad horns for the fact that I screwed up the text so badly. Anyway, this is the cover. So, I'm very proud that Tim it gives me the quote as well on the cover, which is nice. There is indeed a Mr. Tim Dunn quote. Tim, my very dear friend, Tim Dunn, historian, railway writer, and broadcaster. Dennis explodes myths. I'm not going to do it, Tim. Explores facts and proposes some brilliant ideas, like the two strips of steel which unites. They might just be the route to a future so many of us seek. There we go. Thanks, Tim. It was a beautiful quote as part of a larger review quote that's on Amazon. The world's railways were created for extraction and exploitation. How can we harness them for good? Yeah. So the structure of the book. Look, Catherine, a Scottish rail engineer, writer, lecturer who lives in York in the north of England. His writing is featured in the Independent, New Internationalist, Progressive Review and Rail. It's true. That's true. Those are things that I have done. We'll have it down in 10 episodes, episode 225. That's poetry, that is. It's nice, isn't it? Tim has a good way with words, we know that. Also, you'll notice that the cover, I didn't do the cover. Thanks to Johnny Bull for doing the cover. I did have a bit of input into the cover. You'll notice that it is nodding to the new Railnat, or the fairly new Railnatter look, with the white stripes. So there is a nod to all you good folks out there, and some fun-looking, unusual sleepers and fastenings as well there in the rails. It's a minimalist cover, and I love it. The structure, right? Okay, this is the exciting bit. The structure. There are. I don't know what the European prices are, but it's not hugely expensive. It'll probably be about €15, so it's not too pricey. So the structure of the book is in 3 parts. Part 1 is about the choice before us, so it's talking about why. So as we go through the chapters, anyone who's familiar with my writing will know that this is how I generally structure things. Is I lay it out in a way of like answering the question. What's the question? Answer the exam question. So there's a preface where I talk about big picture stuff about why this book needs to exist, why railways are important, and why we aren't talking about them enough. So then part 1 is the choice, the choice before us. So it's why we need to have change. Why mobility must change. A little bit of a background on railways, what they are. Because plenty of people out there don't exactly know what a railway is. What the railways are. a little bit of their history, but not like the history that you usually see. We're not talking like Walmart style sort of copy paste stuff. Walmart writes a fun pop history, but he's not a historian. He's just repeating other history stuff. He's not creating anything new. Whereas I do synthesize a bit of new stuff in there. There's some stuff that nods to the railways and slavery work that's been going on behind the scenes as well. Shout out to Dr. David Turner for the work that's going on about railways and slavery in the background. So there's a little bit about why railways, some of the problems behind railways, the things that railways have enabled, and why we can't just see them as an unmitigated positive. Where they work. So the fun bit, chapter 1.3 is fun because it's kind of there's a I don't even know whether to tell you yet, but we look at the world's railways and what railways are fantastic and what railways are less fantastic and what railways are bad. Actually, by looking at the top 20 railway systems in the world, actually the top 20 national railway systems in the world, and understanding why those are the way they are, and looking at that allows us to pick out lessons of the big lessons from railway systems that exist now. So we're not going to start railway systems from new. We are going to build on what we've got already, which means knowing what works, knowing what doesn't work, and that's what that chapter's about. And then 1.4 is, of course, a fun one that you'll all be hoping exists, which is the alternatives chapter, whether that's status quo, cars, lorries, battery replacement of existing road stock, or whether it's made up nonsense, technobabble, gadget ban rubbish. We talk about those alternatives and have a lot of fun doing so in chapter 1.4. So that's part one. So part one is about the choice we have before us. Part two is the plan, is how we coming out of that choice and deciding, railways, let's do railways. We go through how do we take what we have now and fashion it into and give ourselves the tools and the democratic structures to fashion it into the system we need for the future. And so 2.1 basically is if you like the manifesto. It's like, well, what's the list of things we need to do? And then I go through each of those and break them down into detail. So the key thing is getting the incentives right, then building the democratic structures to deliver against those incentives, building a plan. So taking those, having the democratic structures right, and then and having a plan to then deliver the work, employing and protecting and maintaining and invigorating a workforce, and everything to do with the ensuring the quality of skilled labour, and the welfare and indeed the joy of skilled labour as well. We talk about automation. We talk about where automation is useful, but also where automation is a threat, a challenge, and a problem. 2.7 is about the question that often gets forgotten, which is who should the railways be for? So it's about getting everyone on board. So absolutely we covered accessibility, but also fares, costs, and so on. And then the last chapter is actually surviving the future. It's all very well building a railway system that will provide for the future, but if it doesn't survive the future, then it's no good, is it? So we talk about things like sabotage, cyber warfare. We talk about climate change, of course. We talk about corporate threats, so monopoly, technical challenges associated with monopoly, and all of that kind of wraps up into us then being able to having gone, well, what's the choice? Having said, well, we choose railways, and here's the plan to get us where we need to be, and we then have an ability to then go, well, what should the future then look like? What will the future look like? And then I say it's a bit of a euphemism, chapter 3.1, really. The part 3 is really just its own self-contained polemic, this vision of what the future will look like. What are the things that, how will this manifesto we talked about actually manifest into reality? What will that reality look like? And a really nice future-looking vision of some of the opportunities that we can, not all, but some of those opportunities and what they could look like. There's a book in Going Internationally about what the final railway system could look like. But certainly, and it's a key thing actually across the book. This is an international view. This is not just UK focused. This is an international view. But of course, I have British experience in great detail, and I think Britain has a lot of lessons, mostly bad, but plenty good that the world can learn from. So there is plenty to talk about in terms of Britain's railways, and there's plenty of detail. As I say in the preface to this is not a technical book, but it also isn't. It's not a technical book either, if you see what I mean. It is a mixture. It's for everyone to read, and it's being aimed at you folk. It's being aimed at policy wonks. It's being aimed at the journalists who I know listen to the show as well. It's being aimed at everyone, think tankers, whoever it is. And and I don't think anything like this exists now, and I'm glad that it will when I finished it. And then, of course, there's a what's next. There's the call to arms for everyone who's reading it. That's the structure of the book. That's what the book will look like. Yes. Let's go big face for a minute, and because there's loads of chat that's come through there, which is kind of cool, very exciting. Let's do some chat. People are going, oh, these are big chapters. Yeah, there's some chunky chapters out there. You'll be down. There's lots of subsections as well. It's not going to be. It's. I've written it to be. If anyone who's read my writing knows that I, well, hopefully write in a way that's pretty easy to read, and it's much less than the diatribes I do verbally here. You'll be glad to know it does get a bit more shape when it's on paper. Yes, so it's written to be easy to read. There's lots of subheadings that break things up nicely. So let's see. Please always keep that level of professionalism, says Raphael Nicolaus. Absolutely love it and enjoy it. Marvellous. Detour is saying, one for the mapping nerds, did you hear that Tim Waltz was using GIS in his classes in the early 1990s? Not only that, but introduced to Minnesota a GIS day, which is quite marvellous. Jury's out on Waltz, on lots of good things for sure on Waltz, but the Israel stance is still obviously an open question. But anyway, explores myths, explodes myths, explores facts. It is. Tim has written me a wonderful cover quote. I could not be happier. Oliver Coles, feel like I'm watching a proud dad show off his child and I'm here for it. Oliver, I cannot be more proud of this thing. Repeat, it's fun. This is not a self-published book. Much as, no disrespect to people who do self-publish. I was approached by Repeater, by Tarek and by Josh when he was working for Repeater to, in fact, both of them, now having now left, which I don't know what, it's not my fault, I promise. Both of them having approached me to write this book, and hopefully it's true to their vision of what they wanted, of what what Josh wanted, and then Chris, my editor now, he certainly is very happy with it, and having read through it from cover to cover, I'm very happy with it. You can always make it more perfect, right? I read cover to cover, and in fact I reread again, having been everything finished off. I was rereading it again because I often reread and rewatch my own stuff. Some people don't do that at all. I often do because it's like, how can I make this better? And there are definitely some things that I would just minor wording, one or two wording that I tweak. It's so frustrating when you go, it's like, oh, that's a word that I've said again. I've used that word like the starting word for a paragraph within a couple of pages of each other, and that irritates me. Hopefully none of you'll notice that sort of thing, but I do as the author. But mostly that's just in part one, because in parts 2 and part 3 I did a much closer fine-tooth comb pick through, so there should be none of that in the rest of it. But part 1 I was like, oh no, there's 2 paragraphs start with the word further. Ah, no. So there you go. That's proud dad, but now I'm ranting about its imperfections. So no, thanks, Oliver. Yeah, no, I'm very proud of it. I am very proud of it. It's nice to get all your thoughts into one place. All the thoughts, all the stuff I tweet and talk about on here, all those rail natches that have all smooshed into it. In fact, some of you might recognise little snippets of stuff I've already written, because of one of the things I did when I first started was, right, what have I written? And are these themes that I want to have in a book, or are they things I want to pull out and explore, or do I want to compress them? So there are bits in there that you might recognise from stuff I've written previously, but most of it, pretty much all of it is completely fresh material. Not a Socratic dialogue between George Stevenson and Elon Musk. We get close to one of those later. Let's see. What are your thoughts on South Yorkshire, and where do you see its future? South Yorkshire is going to be an episode coming up soon where we'll talk about the South Yorkshire network. I'm excited about that, Ask Lenny. Deutschland ticket with the current German regional railway system not working. Quite. Jarrett AO, speaking of bad railway system, can you spoil if Canada gets a shout? Canada does not get a shout. I mean, I think I allude to Canada a few times. In fact, I definitely allude to Canada in a couple of points in the book. But I don't know if Canada makes it onto the list of top 20s. In fact, I don't think it does at all, Jarrett AO, I'm afraid. You have to read that chapter when it comes out. There we go. Let's keep going. Oh my goodness, I've just jumped miles away. Let's see, there's some nice chat. Titora, this looks like it is twice as long as my PhD thesis. Admittedly, I have a terse writing style. It's not that long, actually. Don't forget, the pages are little. The text is large on each page. It's a little book. These are not A4. This is not A4 pages. This is book. These pages are literally what the contents pages will look like when they're printed. I've snaffled them from the imprint. It's 70,000 words, which is about PhD size, isn't it? So it's about the same size. What else have we got? In my opinion, what Britain should have is regionalisation of our rails using the European approach. Yorkshire, Humber, similar. Escaleni, similar to what we've kind of talked about it a bit before, haven't we? The structure. In fact, a few episodes ago, we talked about what that structure should look like. The Railways Act 1993 30th anniversary episode. Do at my name for me to spot any further comments and questions. Harry Harrison saying it's wonderful that you're on Repeater. They're such a fantastic publisher. Thanks, Harry. Yeah, I'm very proud to be with Repeater. Repeater, very, very cool publisher. Lots of very cool people have had their books published through Repeater. People like, Grace Blakely, for example, as a foremost leftist economist. Her first book was with Repeater. Would elevated railway viaducts be the best way to mitigate environmental impacts, as highways and ground level train tracks to a lesser degree can cut ecosystems in half? Yes and no. In often cases, no. You're better to build the railway conventionally than just build green bridges, because the environmental impact and the concrete required for elevated structures is a substantial carbon output. Gareth, any Easter eggs? Yes, the RailNatter Patreon supporters, or my Patreon supporters, made some term and phrase suggestions that I promise you are in the book. So if you're one of those nerds who made a suggestion for a thing that needs to be mentioned in the book, or a turn of phrase that you wanted me to sneak in surreptitiously, those are in the book. So there's some good Easter eggs in there. Daniel Smith, still miss your Twitter threads, but I refuse to support the Muskrat, so I left the platform. Wish you were also on Mastodon. Yeah, I can't really do multiple social media platforms, so I'm very much still on Twitter, but I don't do as many big threads because they take a lot of effort, actually. They take a huge amount of effort, and I don't have the time with a little one. And it's a grinding experience out there. There'll still be some long threads popping up, I'm sure, on Twitter at some point. So Robin Veach is super excited to get a copy and make it a permanent addition to my coffee table so everyone who visits sees it. That's because, Robin, you're based. Is this RailNatter's Little Red Book? It absolutely is, Jamie Potts. Yes. Russell Dunn, Canada's going to spend a bunch on upgrading Via's fleet, though I haven't seen anything for fixing all the bad track. Deirdre's saying my PhD thesis is more like 40,000 words. That's true, actually. That's more of a PhD thesis, 40,000 words. Yeah, mine's about double the length of the PhD thesis. You're right. Plus lots of graphs, diagrams, and tables. Don Foster forever. Absolutely. Shout out to Don. Gareth needs to keep a closer eye on Discord, yeah. Hello, Sam Easterby Smith. Hello, Sam. George Midway. Hello. Hello also to Katie. FG, I'm under the impression that in Canada the tracks are privately owned by freight companies, just like in the USA. Via's main route is not electrified. Yes, quite. Threads is gaining traction. Threads is Facebook, though, so I have no interest of going there. It's bad enough that I still have a loose presence on Facebook because of there still being a few friends on there that I like to keep in touch with, but I'd be out of there if I at all could be. But no, absolutely do not... Don't use Threads. It's Facebook. It's Meta. Daniel Smith, suggestion for a guest on RailNet for Canada, RM Transit. Yeah, we've done a bit of collaborations before, so yeah, we need to. There definitely needs to be another collab for sure. Yeah, Escaleni, so glad you're doing a video in South Yorkshire. I've been trying to find more resources. Yeah, there'll be a video coming up soon. Am I doing an audiobook? Lots of audiobook questions. That's a good question. So yes, absolutely, there will be an audiobook. I've wrote this book. It's written in my voice. It's not like a sterile thing. As anyone who knows my writing knows, I write in my own voice, and that's been absolutely true for the book. I will be doing an audiobook. Who that gets done through, whether it's me doing it and Repeater endorse it, or whether Repeater have their own process for that, I don't know. But there absolutely will still be there absolutely will be an audiobook, and I'm excited to tell you that. In fact, yeah, I'm not going to tell you anything. Just know that Patreon people and audiobooks will have a relationship in the future. Be aware of that. Yeah, so audiobook narrated by myself. Oliver Coles, yes, there will be. Don't let that put you off buying the physical book, though, because the audiobook will come quite a bit after. It's not going to come out at the same time because I would have to organise that, and I don't think it's going to happen. But the following year, there will be an audiobook release, which don't hold off for that. I'm keen for as many people to buy this book as possible, not because I will make any money off it, because I absolutely will not. Books don't make anyone money these days, certainly not non-fiction books, but because I want it to just be, if lots of people buy it, then that's a vindication of the fact this is a subject that is important to people, and that's I'm really, really keen for that. Am I a local to Leeds? As I found you through watching Look North and HS2. Glenny, yes, I am. I am a York resident, so I will be going over to do some stuff in Leeds, I am sure. I'm keen to organise some like book readings in places like Waterstones is, Waterstones has messed itself up a bit at the moment. But bookshops, independent bookshops are even better actually. So if I can find a few independent bookshops that stock it, I will be keen. So make suggestions in the Discord and at me in. Suggestions for bookshops are good because they sell the book, so they get a load of books that they can sell. So it'd be good to do some book readings in some independent bookshops. And I'm very keen to do that. And also go to all sorts of other places. I'd be keen for Sheffield, Doncaster, across the north. It'd be fun to do a bit of a tour and drop in and do. But I need good pre-order sale. I need some good pre-order numbers in order for the publisher to be like, oh yeah, you know what, we'll pay you train tickets to do a bit of touring around. But I'm keen to organise a bit of a tour. A kind of a book tour. That'll be after publication day. So publication day will happen, and then I'll tour around pitching the book. York Tap Rail Natter book outing. Yeah, quite. We definitely need to do some more local events or organised events, and some readings and all that sort of good stuff. Central Belt appearance, please. Yes, absolutely. Will the bookshops all be walkable? I hope so, because that'll be how I'll be getting there. Just via train and walking. So and maybe the odd bus here and there. So yes, absolutely. The theme of this is very much train good, pre-order now. Actually, it's not 99 days to go anymore. It is 97 days to go, isn't it? Because it will be 97 days to go now. So 97 days to go until publication date. Whew, crikey. It's exciting times. I am very excited. I'm very proud. Shouldn't the railway companies pay your book-related trips or even promote the book? No, of course they won't do such a thing. I'm sure the GCR, SVR, etc. would be up for a book event. Indeed. I do need to sit and organise all of it, and it's for various reasons at the moment hugely aspirational. Why the asterisk? People are asking. Well, you just have to read the book, because railways aren't necessarily an unalloyed good, and it's important that in order to make them an unalloyed good, we have to understand why they're not currently an unalloyed good. Is this book sponsored by any open access operators? Yeah, I've got Lumo to sponsor this one. Yeah, that's it. I could go to Doncaster Museum. There's a million places I could go. The Repeater is a small publisher, and I, in theory, have a full-time job. So negotiating my way around through and around that will be fun and fiddly. But I want to make it work. So if you've got if you've got suggestions for places you'd like me to go, then absolutely make those suggestions. Anne Person, is it sponsored by any Roscoe's? Yeah, I'm pretty sure I could get Eversholt and get Angel to sponsor it. That'd be fine. If rails were unalloyed, they'd be iron, and therefore would rust more. Bishrew, very good point. Yes, very, very good point. Anyway, further questions. Keen to ask. I'll go big face again. Do check your questions through. I'll do the outro stuff, but keen to answer any more questions. I know I've kind of just talked through that and talked about the book a bit, and not maybe as much as I realised I would. Does the book mention the Treasury? Oh boy, yes, it mentions the Treasury. If you've asked questions already, by the way, and I've not picked them up, do ask them again. Remember to @me. Just realised the Repeater logo looks like the track you've got on the cover, just going the other way. I know, it's clever, that, isn't it? Unintentional, or maybe it's intentional. Maybe Johnny Bull's a genius. Well, he is a genius, actually, so yes, quite possibly. Yes, Andy Kay. Treasury is absolutely mentioned, and quite a lot of the book is dedicated to how you deal with the backroom challenges, how you deal with those challenges that we see in the UK, and those are often, of course, reflected in other places. Can we throw the book at the Treasury? I would recommend getting boxes of the books to throw at Treasury. So ideally, if you buy 200, 300, 400 boxes of the books as ammunition to then throw it at Treasury. I don't think that counts as incitement to violence, because obviously it's parodying in Minecraft. But also, I don't think throwing books at causes much damage. They reach quite a low terminal velocity. So it'd be more of a symbolic gesture, which would come under the protections, of course, that we have in our wonderful democratic country of protest. Of course, you could keep the books in the box and use those full boxes of books as ammunition. Indeed, as Carlos has pointed out, you could use a trebuchet to fire those. That I would strongly recommend. But again, Don't steal those boxes of books. Ideally, pay for them, because then that would obviously up the sales numbers and mean that more of them find their way to more bookshops. Is that that won't work here, we're a different problem covered? Is the that won't work here, we're a different problem covered? Yes, in a roundabout way. I think I addressed that. I mean, firstly, I talk across nations very much, so talk about problems in various nations and how there are commonalities between the challenges and differences between the different countries as well. Hardback leafleting campaign. Should have made them hardback. Yeah, that's an interesting one. I was like, it'll be hardback, and then I was like, oh no, the repeater just goes straight for paperback. It's a cost thing, I think. The circulation of these is smaller than a lot of the bigger, the big players will get circulation that's huge. Repeater, don't get me wrong, I would love for this to become a bestseller. It'd be great. It reached 2,000 or slightly, no, it reached like 1,900 in Amazon. In fact, where is it on the Amazon list? The reason I'm pointing people towards Amazon, by the way, is not. Wait a minute. Let me just go in here. Here we are. The reason I'm pushing with Amazon is not because I endorse Amazon as an evil company, but because unfortunately they are the. I've dropped down to 2 in Railways history. Who's overtaken me? Walmart's got back up to the top again. His Kindle edition's climbed above. Right, everyone go and get pre-sales going so we can stay above Walmart. We have to stay above Walmart between now and publication day. I need to be at number 1 on the Railways history book list above Walmart. That's the mission, right? Defeat Walmart. So yes, number 5 on the Amazon best-selling engineering physics list, behind Inside the Pentagon Search for UFOs. Weird. Will we have a link to the book in the chat description? You can just search How the Rails Will Fix the Future. You'll find it. Should I go to York St John's or Uni of York? Depends what you're doing, I suppose. If you're doing occupational therapy, York St John's. If you're doing health economics, go to University of York. Yes, we were briefly within the top 2,000 books on Amazon, which was fun. That's cool. That's a high number. Let's do that again. Can we? Is the best place to pre-order Amazon? Then, much as I want to say no, support independent booksellers, I'm going to say you have that call. But from a stats perspective, annoyingly, and from a getting the most people to buy this book perspective, because that's the stupid world we live in, probably if you want to have the maximum impact from your sale, in terms of the beneficial impact by this book doing good numbers, it is to do it through Amazon, painfully. It's a bit like, I wish we didn't live in a capitalist society, but I do have a mobile phone. We can't avoid the society. We live in a society. There's no avoiding that, unfortunately. Should patrons be waiting for pre-orders as they're getting a special link? How will that be handled? We'll talk about that in the Discord chat and on the Patreon web, on patreon.com. I'll leave a comment, but I think logistically and with the size of the pub, if I'll say now, there's not going to be a link for a reduction in the price, but there will be extra bonuses for Patreon people, which will hopefully make it worth your while. So there'll be benefits to justify. So don't hold off on your pre-orders. Get stuck in. You criticise society and yet you participate in it. Curious. Exactly, Charles J. Lockett. Quite. Hey, hope you're safe from the riots. Much love from the USA. Thank you, Poop. That's very, very kind. No, I'm all right. I'm out in the suburbs. There's nothing to smash up here. And also, unfortunately, I'm white, which, because these are racist horror show people, somewhat protects me. I if I didn't have a little one in the house and needed to do little one things, I'd be absolutely finding my way to the nearest collection of anti-fascist defenders and standing shoulder to shoulder with them. But that's not a practical thing that a young father can do, right? When the little one needs to be put to bed and so on. David, I've just found it on pre-order from an independent bookshop in Aberystwyth, which seems quite fitting. That does seem quite fitting. That's quite cool. Yeah, I mean, it goes through. The other thing is if you go to the Penguin, the repeater also goes through Penguin Random House in the US, so that you can buy it through them, and they have a load of links for where you can buy. Again, I'll say the thing: Amazon. If you really don't want to buy from Amazon, that's fine. That's cool. You're a better person than I am. But in terms of maximizing the impact of the book, I dare say Amazon is probably the place to buy it. So it's an uncomfortable, rather vile truth, but such is life. It doesn't make any difference to how much I get from it. I think Repeater decide that, and I can't remember what my contract is. I should have looked that up. But yeah, don't worry about it. We can also throw the book at the fash in order to educate them. Absolutely. You can do what you like with the books. You do not have to read it. I would love you to read it. You don't have to if you don't want to. Buy it, give it to someone. Fantastic gift. Next year is Rail 200, which obviously, as we know, isn't quite as significant as all the people, well, as lots of people will be making out. But what a fantastic gift for people during Rail 200 is a book saying how the rails will fix the future. You know, that'll be fun. Anyway, right, enough of that. Before I get rid of my face, no, thanks to everyone. This is weird in audio only format, but hopefully useful. Amazon saying it's only 1 page long. Yeah, and Amazon's, there's a load of metadata that's still not been updated yet. Yeah. Anyway, this on all good audio platforms. Thanks for listening, folks. And those who are listening in podcast form, sorry you can't get in touch with the questions, but you can, and this goes for everyone here too, you can just chuck me questions on Twitter. Absolutely, that'd be fine and cool. The usual plugs, patreon.com/Gareth Dennis to support this and to get those goodies, more of which will be announced over the next couple of months. GarethDennis.co.uk/merch for merchandise. PayPal.me/Gareth Dennis for loose change and abuse, comments, notes, anything you like, paying for the bit of the restaurant meal that we had. GarethDennis.co.uk/Discord for the Discord server, where all the good chat continues ad infinitum, and oh goodness, does the joy continue. Next week, there's no stream tonight, but next week, episode 226, a wee chat about Ireland's railways. We'll be having a guest on to talk about those railways. The episode title TBC, by the way. But yes, this will all be happening. Next week, which I'm looking forward to talk about Ireland again. Be good. I'm very excited about that. So, other comments and thoughts. Doesn't seem to be in the German book catalogue yet. Captain Viridian is saying, have you considered making an episode on some US projects? It'd be cool to get your perspective on how we are bunging up New York, New Jersey's commuter regional rail. Yeah, it'd be good to get someone on to talk about it, wouldn't it? Yes, hopefully the All Ireland Rail Review gets mentioned. It's pretty hot off the press. I dare say it will, yes. Bookshop.org have the book available for pre-order. That's where Gareth will be heading. Yeah, that's fine. That's cool, Gareth. Those who don't go to Amazon, I'm not judging you. I fully understand. You're a better person than I am. Thumbs up the stream, thumbs up for the book. Thank you, Raphael Nicholas, and everyone who's been joining. I hope this is all right. A bit of maybe it's self-indulgent. If it was self-indulgent, shout at me. I'm sorry. You can dislike the video. You can just generally be mean at me in the comments. But I'm so excited about this. I wanted a chance, and it felt like episode 225. Actually, you know what's worth saying is that this, the book wouldn't have happened without you lot supporting. The fact that Rail Natter happens, the fact that Rail Natter has given me 220 plus episodes of stuff to think about in my head, guests, chat in here, all that stuff has found its way into the book. So it's very much a testament to everyone who is a supporter and a viewer of and a listener of Rail Natter. You've enabled the book to happen. The popularity of the book, the fact that we're approaching 1 million downloads, listens and views of Rail Natter is pretty massive. That's pretty cool, and that's testament to everyone supporting me through Rail Natter. So this book is a testament to all you lot, and I hope it does you proud as much as I am currently proud of it. And I hope that when it gets reviewed, people don't shout at me about it. Well, maybe I do want them to shout at me about it. We'll find out. Yes, it was a huge effort to write a book, funnily enough. I knew it would be, and it was, particularly with a 1-year-old that doesn't sleep, or a 0-year-old that doesn't sleep. So, yes, it has been a difficult year, and then it's been made even more difficult by recent shenanigans that I may share with you at some point. Anyway, how the railways will fix the future. I don't know why I stumbled over my own book title there. How the railways will fix the future. Pre-order now. Call now. Cheerio!